All right, here we go with these answers to your test. So remember, this graph is a little bit wrong. It should probably be 1, -4 for these x-intercepts to be correct, but we'll just go with what's written on there. So the equation probably in vertex form, right? We want y equals, or f of x equals, and it's moved to the right 1 and down 3. So we want to do parentheses, move right 1, so it's x minus 1, and down 3, minus 3. Okay? The next question on there says the x-intercepts. So your x-intercepts are right here. There are -1 and 0, and also 3 and 0, which means that your zeros are x equals -1 and x equals 3. All right, which then means that your factors are x plus 1 and x minus 3. Remember, it goes like this, that if you get an answer of -1, you want to know what equation did that come from. If this was equal to 0, the -1 would be here, so that would have been x plus 1. You solve that to get this. And then x minus 3, or x equals 3, this was over here, so x minus 3 equals 0. That was the thing that you solved to get this answer. So this was the factor that you set equal to 0 to get the answer for. All right, let's see. Okay, next one. So next one, you're given y equals x minus 7 squared minus 4. So we got y equals x minus 7 squared minus 4. So right away I can tell you that the vertex, it moves right 7 down 4. So 7, -4. Axis of symmetry is going to be x equals 7. Remember, it's crossing at 7 right there. You can always draw a little picture. Right 7 down 4, get your parabola here. 7, it's going to be the axis of symmetry right through the x value. This matches this. The y-intercept. Y-intercept is always very simple. You plug in 0 for x. So if you put a 0 here, you get -7. 0 minus 7 is -7 squared. That's 49. 49 minus 4 is 45. And you want your x-intercepts. So your x-intercepts, the easiest way to do this, unless you want to draw a really perfect picture, the x-intercepts are basically the solutions to this problem. So if I were you, I would take myself over here, do x minus 7 squared minus 4, set it equal to 0 and solve it. Add the 4. Do the square root of both sides to get rid of the square. So x minus 7 equals plus or minus 2. Then I'm going to add 7 over here, so I get x equals 7 plus or minus 2, because I might as well just move that 7 right there. So 7 plus 2 is 9, and 7 minus 2 is 5. So my x-intercepts are 9 and 5. Okay, all right, moving on to the next one. It says to go ahead and tell some stuff about the graph of x squared plus 2x minus 3. All right, so if you're going to do that, if you want to know the vertex, you can draw a picture and that would help, but remember the x value of the vertex is -b over 2a. So if you would just figure that out, negative of 2, 2 times 1 is a, 2 times a is 1, so 2 times 1 is 2, so that's -1, so this is -1. Then plug -1 back into this problem, you would get 1 minus 2 minus 3, so you get -4. All right, next question is axis of symmetry. Well, axis of symmetry is x equals that number right there. All right, the y-intercept. Plug in 0 into my problem. I'm going to get -3. And my x-intercepts, well, the best way to find x-intercepts are to basically solve your equation like we did before. X squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. And if I'm solving this kind of problem, I would probably want to factor it. So what multiplies to 3? 3 and 1 makes 2, so plus and a minus. So the solutions are -3. What makes that 0? And what makes this 0 is 1. So those are my x-intercepts, my zeros, my solutions, my roots. So -3, 0, and 1, 0. Or if you can use a calculator, you can graph this in your calculator and you can see them there. All right, now we get into some solving here. Some solving for x in number 5. I got x minus 3 squared minus 25 equals 0. Now, one could multiply this out but that would be a lot of work, and then you'd have a harder problem. So the best thing to do is move that 25 over. So add 25, your x minus 3 squared equals 25. To get rid of the square, do the square root. X minus 3 pops out, and don't forget, plus or minus 5 over here. This negative 3 moves over, becomes positive, so my answer is 3 plus or minus 5, which provides me with two scenarios. 3 plus 5 is 8, 3 minus 5 is negative 2, so there's my two answers. All right, number 6. 6 says 3x squared plus 48 equals 0. So in this case, I don't really want to factor because there's no x in the middle. I think I'd like to just use square roots. If I can move the 48 and divide by 3, so 3x squared equals negative 48. When I subtract, divide by 3, I would get negative 16. So the square root, I get x equals plus or minus always, and then this will be 4i. There's my two answers. All right, number 7. Number 7 says the square root of x minus 3 minus 5 equals 0. So move that 5 over. All right, to get rid of a square root, I'm going to square both sides. So x minus 3 pops out, and we get 25. Add 3, 28. Okay. All right. Whatever the last one on the first page is, number 8, I guess. So number 8 says 8 radical 3 plus radical 3 minus 2 radical 3 plus radical 75. All right, so for this one, these are all good to go. 75 is 25 times 3. So that's going to be 5 radical 3. All right, remember this can be a 1 here. So all we're going to do is just like combine like terms. I got 8 of these plus 1 of them, so that's 9. 9 minus 2 is 7. 7 plus 5 is 12. So I have 12 radical 3's. And that's it. All right, on the back side. On the back side, the first problem is asking you to use a quadratic formula. All right, so I see x squared plus 3x plus 3. All right, so there's my a, b, and c, 1, 3, 3. So I'm going to do my quadratic formula. So negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, first of all, this part here, that's called the discriminant, the b squared minus 4ac. So let's figure that out. B squared would be 9 minus 4, a is 1, c is 3. All right, this is all stuff you did in Algebra 1. So this is going to be 9 minus 12, so it's negative 3, or put that in your calculator. All right, so I know that I have a negative under the radical. That means I'm going to have two imaginary solutions. Negative b would be a negative 3, plus or minus, and then 2 times 1 on the bottom. So you have to rewrite this as negative 3 plus or minus. The negative comes out, giving you an I. Radical 3 doesn't reduce, and over 2. There's your answer. All right, on the next one down here, it says solve by factoring. So I got x squared plus 14x minus 15 equals 0. So it's ready to factor. You don't even have to move anything over. So I got x and x. What multiplies to 15 and makes 14? Got 15 and 1, plus 15 minus 1. So my answers are negative 15 and positive 1. All right. Next over here, we got x squared plus 10x equals negative 9. So it's asking you to complete the square. So in this problem, completing the square, you take half of this number and square it. So half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So you add 25 here and you add 25 on the other side to be fair. What you've done here is you've created a perfect square. And this number is 16. If you factor this, it will always be, because of the special number you created, it will always be whatever, x and x. And the number that you squared to get 25 was 5. And if you put two pluses, because everything's plus, then I have x plus 5 squared. So you created a square here. You completed the square. That's why it's called that. So you made a perfect square. So now that you have a perfect square and you clean this up, you can do the square root of both sides. X plus 5 pops out, and you get plus or minus 4. So you move that 5 over, you get negative 5 plus or minus 4, which leads you to negative 5 plus 4, which is negative 1. Negative 5 minus 4 is negative 9. There's your answers. All right. Number 15 says I to the 42nd. So the way that you can put this in your calculator, but I to the 42nd, powers of I go in sets of 4. So you divide 4 into 42. It goes 1, I get a 4, goes 2, oh my god. What am I doing here? Sorry. It doesn't go into 2, so that's 0. So my remainder is 2. So, I mean, 4 goes into 42 10 times with a remainder of 2. So the remainder is what's important here. So the remainder of 2 tells me that basically I to the 42nd is the same thing as I squared. And I squared is -1 because I is equal to the square root of -1. So if you square it, you square this, then the -1 pops out. All right, so there's 4 things to know. I is I squared is -1, I to the 3rd is -I, and I to the 4th is 1. So based on your remainder, 1, 2, 3, 4, is basically these 4 answers. Okay. All right, 16. On number 16, you're just combining like terms really. So i's, these are just like variables. So when I see addition here, I got 10 plus -7, so that's 3. I got I plus an 8i, so I got plus 9i. That's all. 17, I have subtraction. All right, so now it's 10 minus a -7, so 10 plus 7. And I minus a negative, so basically plus 8. Because this negative gets given to each part, right? So 1 plus 8 is 9. Oh, I'm sorry, wait. This was a plus to begin with. Yeah, it's the same problem as that. Sorry. So it's 1 minus 8, so it's -7i. Okay. All right. The next part. What is this? 18. So number 18, we got 4i and -5 plus 3i. All right, so I'm going to multiply that out. I get negative, or distribute, 20i. And then I get plus 12i squared. So remember, I squared is worth -1. So I have -20i, and 12 times -1 is -12. And that's my answer. 19. 19 says 3 plus I times 4 minus 5i. All right, so I do FOIL. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times -5i is -15i. Here is going to be plus 4i, we're multiplying. Here is going to be -5i squared. Now remember, I squared is worth -1. So I got 12. This makes -11i. -5 times -1 makes +5. So now I can put these together. I get 17 basically minus 11i. All right, and then the last one. On the last one, number 20, we got 3 over 5 minus I. Now in this problem, 3 over 5 minus I, you can't leave i's on the bottom. So if you multiply by the conjugate, 5 plus I, you do it on the top too, then what's going to do, it's going to make those i's on the bottom go away. So watch what happens. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times I is plus 5i. -I times 5 is -5i. And -I times I is -I squared. So look at these cancel. I squared is -1, so minus a minus is a plus 1. So 25 plus 1 is 26 on the bottom. And so the I is gone. That's the whole point. Now I have to multiply 3 times this. So it's kind of like distributive property. So I get 15 plus 3i. And that's it. Okay. All right. And the last question on that little piece of paper, I mean, that's some calculator work that you had to do. So you'll have to ask Mr. Linza. I don't have my calculator here with me, so those are just some buttons on your calculator you had to learn, right? So here are some questions I made that are, so you can pause and like try to do them. Some questions, oh no, those are not the questions. Some questions I made that are basically like the ones on your test, but just a little bit different, okay? So you can pause and look at those, all right? And then 10 and 11 are like missing, whatever, they're in this problem. So basically, if you follow the directions, but use these questions instead from your test, right? And then here's the answers. So, you know, don't look at them until you're ready, but here's the answers. There's 1 and 2, the rest, let's see, and I can't get them all on one screen, but here's the answers. You can kind of like fast forward and go backwards, but there you go. Okay, all right, so you can use those to practice these things. All right, bye-bye.